So Rugs, what are you saying? 2025 has been crazy this year. Obviously, since the many previous years that we've had as musical movements in the UK, we've obviously smashed it with many, many weddings. What's been the highlight for you this year that's changed since last year?
You know what? I think a lot of things have been great this year. The momentum of just where things have been going. I think the amount of shows that we've done has definitely increased significantly in comparison to year on year. It's safe to say we've definitely played at multiple new venues across the world, more so. And as you know, the destination market this year has been fierce. It's been mad. It's been crazy. The amount of destination weddings that we've done as a company this year has been phenomenal. And as you know, you've been on many of them. I think that's the biggest kind of trend I've probably been picking up on this year. The amount of requests, the amount of inquiries for destination wedding, for clients that are looking for something a little bit more unique, more personal, less numbers, and more theming. That's perhaps something I've noticed, man. How have you found this year? Or what would you
Yeah,
add
I
to that
think,
even?
do you know what? I think it's been interesting. I think obviously touching on the whole themes and stuff, I feel like couples have been amazing with kind of working out what they want throughout the day, having a theme with their music in terms of like, how they want the music to be when guests enter and stuff. And we, as professionals, obviously, we always kind of help them and guide them through that as well. But also on top of that, I feel like it's becoming a lot more luxury as well. They're having a lot more kind of, I would say like destination style weddings in the UK as well. Like
Yeah.
for example, like Mendy parties are now becoming receptions.
Yeah.
And like your receptions is becoming like the grand finale and stuff like that. So I think those little changes over the past 18 months, I've seen it a lot now.
Yeah.
And yeah.
To add to that, I would also say that I've noticed the need for people to be a lot more involved with the musical playlist, the theming. Like clients are asking much more about their entrance songs, the cake cut, the final few songs, their playlist, their styles, and kind of being really involved in those fine details. This year, again, more than previous years, I've kind of felt like the need to be more personal on the basis of meeting the DJs, talking to them, and the importance of that. Because I guess we know as DJs, the night is ultimately shaped in the direction that the bride and groom have kind of directed it to be in, and they take lead in it. But if you don't have that conversation with the DJ, or you're not really that personal and understand actually what do they want, then it comes to a point where it's quite generic. And in previously, I remember, when we first started this business, when people used to book us, they very, very, very rarely would have, commitments to meet us or sending us any details in regards to playlists. It was kind of like, cool, not even asking sometimes who the DJ is. Like very rarely. Now, everyone that books us will want to know the details. Who is the DJ? Do they have the opportunity to hear them play? Do they have the opportunity to meet them? Do they have the opportunity to have input on their playlist? Like that customization has just been shaping, and it's becoming more and more apparent year on year. And I think, especially with you, a lot of your clients, I know you do custom first dances. I know
Yeah,
you do
this is
custom
it.
edits. I know
It's
you're
very popular.
like plugged in on WhatsApp groups with them. So how have you found your clients this year?
Do you know what? It's been interesting. I think just to touch on that, previously it will be like, okay, cool. Here's the wedding. Here's the date. You just pull up. It could be, not, I'm not saying whatever DJ, but it could be just, take care of this couple, smash out the wedding. And now I feel like with couples, we kind of involve them a lot more. And I'll tell you why, is because they see us a lot more, even away from weddings at public sets. So for example, they'll know our styles. They'll know what kind of genres and kind of artists and that they want to include, but also what to avoid as well for them, just so it fits around their kind of their theme and stuff. So I feel like with my weddings in particular, like if it's a Devon music party, it's a rave. It's absolute
100.
rave. Coming from that club style kind of vibe. Obviously, you found me in the clubs and stuff from back in
Yeah.
the days since we were young and stuff. So, it's been coming up to 10 years next year with musical movements. That's crazy.
10 years, man.
10 years, man. That's mad. Do you remember when I signed that
I
contract?
remember, man. I remember sitting with you.
Do you know what
in that
Ruggs
bar.
told me? Now listen, Ruggs told me, he goes, if you sign this, you will sign away your life for the better.
Yeah, indeed.
And yeah,
And when what happened?
and then here we are. Do you know what? Obviously,
absolutely.
so alongside weddings and stuff.
The club circuit for you has been popping as well, bro.
Yeah.
So
I think this is why I love to link the two, to be honest. Like if you look at couples that are willing to book us and they want to try and get to know us on a more of a personal basis or to hear us, they can come to our public sets as well. You get it? So I think it's important to kind of keep in touch with the whole club scene as well. And one way we've started, but bringing that style and element to the weddings, it's a game changer.
Absolutely. Like, to
game
be
changer.
honest, I think, for us as the company, it was always a priority for us to ensure that DJs are essentially reflecting the demographics of parties we do in respect to the party culture. Like, naturally, our concept has been quite straightforward. We provide club DJs for weddings. Like, it's always been that case. I feel like we was perhaps the first company that was championing club DJs doing weddings, and now it feels like, in the wedding industry, more and more so, people are trying to be more relevant within the club scene. But I also feel like the club scene has declined since, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, even 20 years ago, when we were heavily involved with the club circuit. Being at clubs was a consistent thing, a daily thing. I used to DJ 7 days a week, give or take, in nightclubs. Even when I met you, that journey on that side of it, we were doing many more clubs and we were doing many more weddings. I think naturally the progression of things has changed. Although we're still involved with the club circuit, I actually feel like wedding receptions are the new clubs. Like, wedding receptions are probably, in my opinion, sometimes better than some of the clubs I used to play at.
Turn your wedding into a club.
Turn your wedding into a club, but you need someone to understand club culture. First of all, like, if you've just got a wedding DJ that only knows how to do weddings, you're only going to get a wedding DJ that's not going to be able to turn up the energy and bring them to where you need to. And I still see this day in, day out with social media content from DJs or companies. It's evident to know which ones are experienced in playing in nightclubs, are experienced in playing for multi-genre, multiple,
Open format style, kind of multi.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And that's the key. And you have to learn that and adapt when you are playing in dynamic places, different parties, different days, different genres. And then you can read a crowd, because as we know, reading a room is what makes a party. A DJ that can read a room is going to essentially do much better than a technical DJ that's actually technically better at DJing as such.
But this is good, Rugs, just to touch on that as well. Like, for example, if you look at a general itinerary for a wedding, you got couple entrance, you got cake cutting, you got speeches, all the formalities out the way. If you look at the amount of time they spend on the dance floor, it's about 2 to 3 hours, right? Max, I would say. Sometimes they may go shorter, sometimes they may go longer. If you now compare that to a club style or brunch style set, those are becoming more popular. So imagine you come into a brunch or that sort of style set playlist that you see in a public, and then having that kind of mirrored, I would say, in a wedding set.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having 2-3 hours of your bangers, you get it with.
Do you know what?
With the DJ that you want.
You need between 2 and 3 hours for any good party. Like, when I look at a running
100%.
order and I speak to clients, and again, I'm so glad, because again, we was perhaps the first company that was encouraging clients to do all the formalities, get all the food out of the way, do your first dance and party all the way through. So if your venue, if you're getting married in the UK, it's likely your venue is going to be, 12 o'clock, realistically, give or take. If you're lucky, 1 o'clock at a push. Majority of venues are probably going to try to calm it down between the window of 11:30 to 12. If your wedding reception starts at 7 p.m. and you've got starters and you've got mains and you've got 5 speeches, by the time all the formalities are kind of concluded with, give or take, you're going to be looking at the windows of like 9 and 10. But to create a party, you need to take them on a journey. You need to start somewhere. You need to play different genres without jumping from genre to genre to genre, and take them all the way to a journey. And in my opinion, the best parties will have a minimum window of between 2 to 2.5 hours, all the way to 4. And quite commonly, especially this year, I've seen dance floors open up with like a 5-hour window party.
Oh, trust me.
4-hour window.
How many sets have you done this year, which has been like 4 to 5 hours?
It's mad,
Easily,
but
right?
that's endurance. That's also experience. You need, if you're doing parties at 5 hours for a wedding audience of all age ranges, you better be good.
Okay.
You better be experienced.
All right, so question. What is the minimum amount of time you will have on a dance floor, and what's the maximum time you would kind of, I would say, push for on a dance floor, just to make sure you have the best experience?
So 100% for me, I would say, in my opinion, if I can push on an average of 3 hours,
Okay.
With a minimum of 2.5 hours, then I know that I can
Agreed.
have a great party. If it's anything less than an hour and a half, it's a struggle for sure.
Yeah, this is it. Because I think what you'll find is you'll then have like maybe quicker mixes. You may not get to the songs that you want for that throughout the playlist and stuff, must plays and stuff.
The party will start and then end, literally. If
this
you've
is
got
the
1.5 hours, so whatever the running orders are, when we see this, we'll always address it. But naturally, bride and grooms will dictate how their event is structured. Sometimes, unfortunately, things overrun, predominantly with speeches, possibly with elements of catering that might be delayed for whatever reason. There's obviously various factors, but
for sure.
You got to factor in for the problems. You got to factor in for if something is delayed. So that's how I do it. And I think most commonly I'm seeing this method done quite simply in a way where the drinks reception is also canapes, which starts between 6 and 7.
Yeah.
The guests come in at 7.
Yeah.
They perhaps come in, cut the cake, do following the entrance, cut the cake, take their seats, go into some speeches,
Yeah.
do the mains, do the dessert, final speech, first dance, party all the way till the end. That's the structure I feel is clean, simple, and effective every time.
So guys, if you want a 2.5 hour dance floor, make sure you keep your speeches on a timely basis. That's one tip I'll give you.
Yeah. And also, if you give your anyone that's doing a speech a notification of this is how much time we factored in for your speech. If you're planning on doing it longer, please tell me. Just like let me know now so we can work around it. But basically, what you don't want on the day is for you to have told everyone we've given an allocated time for a speech, but you've not actually told them how long is your speech. Like, how have you got more to say? Have you got less to say? But figure that out because that's the important part. Most weddings that are delayed, the reality is it's majority delayed because of speeches.
Yeah, I'll say just touching on that. I think it's obviously it's not a bad thing. You know, we're all quite adaptable to different situations, but especially with like when you have content, you have audio and stuff. It's just good to get it in advance. You know, so this is the thing.
Preparation is key.
Yeah, this
Preparation
is
is key.
So I think it's important. But actually, just touching on that and going back to what you said about the music from the start. You know, I know it's important, and a lot of questions I get from couples is how does the music work throughout the evening? Like, for example, what do you play during dinner? What do you play during when the guests enter? Obviously, we always involve our couples with, you know, what they prefer to have, right? Is there any particular kind of genres that stand out to you when you kind of kick off when guests enter or dinner or what are we saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that we probably got the strongest playlist in respect to background music that I've heard at an event. And I say that because we spend a lot of time, and I know I've seen your playlist, what you do with the background music, and I'm sure you've also seen mine.
Yeah.
But I love playing like R&B, hip hop, jazz influence covers, acoustic style covers. So I think that's kind of what I like. I like to play essentially like club styled anthems that are stripped back, that are kind of a little bit more mellow in approach, but set the tone, remind people of a good time. But I think most people that tend to book me kind of understand or have the expectation of what to expect with the style of music. So I feel for me, yeah, all day R&B, hip hop, jazz covers, stripped acoustic versions is what I do. I never play a background mix and just leave a mix on and go. I love to play the songs from, you know, during the dinner, during the guests entering the room, just setting the tone, watching people's reactions to it.
This is the thing. I think the main thing for us, especially at musical movements, is like the reactions you get.
Yes.
From when you play kind of those bangers at dinner or when guests enter. Like, for example, I would just say, just throwing out there, maybe like a Casey and Jojo, All My Life. When you see guests kind of sing along during dinner and stuff, and you get the interactions and stuff from each other, you know it's going to be a great party. From that side to the dance floor, the trajectory is crazy.
Do you know what? We've said it on numerous occasions that the party starts the moment your guests walk in that room. The party starts then. The influence happens then.
Yeah.
The vibes happen then. And that's what I always find that like the key moment of everything as the guests are entering the room, you're kind of letting them know, you know, this is what we're warming you up for. This is going to be a good night.
Yeah.
Start drinking, start enjoying the vibe because we're going to take you all the way there.
Yeah, this is it. I think this is one thing that stands out for us is also is like having a good rapport with all these suppliers as well. All of our suppliers that we work with as well, even on the day, liaising with our suppliers prior to weddings, but also knowing and giving that comfortability for couples that, you know, your day is going to go as smooth as ever. And I think it's important. And I think this is why, you know, having that musical journey alongside, for example, you know, bar companies and also the wedding planners and getting them involved to show that, you know what.
Absolutely. But that's the thing. I think majority of the teams we work with, the planning team have a huge influence in the direction of how easy that journey becomes for the bride and groom, how easy it is to talk to specific other vendors through them. But generally speaking, you know, it always helps because like, even especially this year, like some of the planners we work with have been phenomenal, man. They've really like changed the dynamics of how some of the planners perhaps used to be. I feel like, again, this new wave of couples getting married are a lot more involved. They're a lot more involved. They care. It's more personal. And I think that way around, you know, when someone's actually expressed their interest, the planners understand their interest. We're aligned. Like loads of planners this year I've been doing great calls with, understanding their vision for the bride and groom, creating a completely bespoke package that we've probably never done for another client.
Yeah.
But translating that information through a planner helps because we appreciate bride and grooms are busy. They've got, you know, a million things running. But there's some great planners out there, and I would probably recommend to, you know, clients out there, if you're watching, planners will make your life 10 times easier. The flow events tend to work much better, and they are important for the success of the event.
Do you know what? It's funny you say that. I think it's interesting to see because with wedding planners, it's nice because of the connections that they bring together. You know, not only am I talking like communication through WhatsApp or phone calls or emails, but also like kind of understanding how we are as DJs, entertainment company, but also understanding what they do and where they can fit in to help us as well.
Yeah.
For example, like transitioning, just say if we're doing a destination wedding or even in the UK, it could be a 2-day wedding in the UK, knowing what's going to be where, the setups, the layouts, to understanding the couple's vision alongside. One question I ask on Zoom calls and phone calls is like, who are all your suppliers? Because knowing who your suppliers are, you'll generally know how your day is going to go. I think I also get nervous when I don't know the supplier, but
Right.
the great thing is prior to everything, prior to the event, you'll connect.
Yeah,
And even if
you're
you
right.
don't know them.
Do you know what?
So it's
Absolutely,
good.
man. I think when you see a running order and you
Yeah.
see suppliers and you know the suppliers, you know that everything's going to work with ease. You understand that, okay,
Yeah.
cool. I know the photographer, I know the video team, I know the planner, I know the caterers. You know that you
Yeah.
can just call anyone, you know, get there with vans, logistics, and there's no dramas. Naturally, sometimes when you work with new clients, it's a bit daunting if you don't know the suppliers.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, I've met some phenomenal suppliers this year that I've never worked with.
Agreed. Yeah.
And the industry keeps just showcasing new talent.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty about the wedding industry. There's people coming in like quite frequently, and that's it. When you see that, you got to just work with new people, build new visions,
No, for
and
sure.
keep moving.
So it's probably safe to say Rugs, obviously musical movements have literally smashed it for how many years ago now?
Do you know what? It's
Well, I've been here for what? 10 years is gonna be
10
next
years,
year, so
it's-
we'll have a party then, but still.
it's over 20 years, and
Okay.
I don't know the exact year. I mean, I need to actually revert
So
back
has
to when
it
it was formed.
always been musical movements, or has it been another name before, or
It was always musical movements,
okay,
but
yeah,
actually, it started off with me toying with another idea. I was going to
okay,
call the mix. Well, let me start with what I was trying to. So basically, what I'm trying to say,
the soundtrack.
I started a mix CD,
Yeah.
and that mix CD initially was called Musical Adventures.
Okay, mad.
And this was when
Yeah.
I was maybe like 16, 17.
You asked me about this. You go, oh, were you there when musical movements started? A musical adventure
Yeah.
started, and I was like, what?
Yeah, so yeah, basically, it
Yeah.
started with a CD, and then I thought I would call this production company as such, or this agency,
Yeah.
Musical Adventures. And when I was trying to buy the name and find it, it felt like it sounded like a amusement park.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, what else can I find that is more suitable? Because actually, musicaladventures.com wasn't available at that point. So
It's a sign.
Musical Movements was something that I kind of toyed with, and I thought, all right, cool, like, this has got some weight. Let me try finding it. I bought the website. I created a logo on the back end of that, and then it created a mix CD. And that series was called Musical Movements. And then it
Okay.
started with volume 1, and it kind of interlinked on what I was trying to do on the back end of that. And I think from the start of that, it was distributed quite heavily, especially when I become like 21, 22 in the region. And in those days, it was a bit more of a different way. I used to like give out 100 mix CDs, and
Yeah.
those CDs used to circulate. They'll end up in one person's car, end up in someone else's car, get ripped onto.
Do you remember the
computers.
days like we used to print CDs and then put it in the casing and then give it
Yeah.
out to people,
It's
or
just-
sometimes you might mail it to someone,
Absolutely, man. I remember those days.
hoping
Yes.
it reaches someone, right? Do you know what I
Crazy.
mean?
I remember the days of even recording mixtapes on the tape, on the
Yeah,
cassette
crazy.
player aspect
Yeah.
of things, MP3s, mini disc. I think that whole evolution, even mixing on vinyls and having my whole record collection is still there.
Yeah.
So I got to figure out what to do with that. So if anyone's looking for any record, let me know. I've got about 10.
Do you know what? They're probably worth how much now, right?
I don't know. You know,
'Cause
someone
they're
said
coming
that to
back.
me.
Yeah, they're actually coming back. A lot of artists are bringing like vinyls back. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fine art for records for sure. And
Yeah.
like, you know, I love I love that I still got so many of them.
Yeah.
It's just the
Yeah,
practicality of what do I do with them now? Like if I was to pass them on to anyone else that's aspiring to DJ, would they be able to use them? What
100%.
they're going to do with them? The,
Yeah.
the idea of how easy it is to use a laptop with Serato and have thousands of songs at your
Game changer, right?
fingertips is
That's the
crazy.
thing.
Why would we want to look
like-
at any other options now?
It's like now it's gone digital, obviously with Serato. Then you got like now stems. Obviously, that's been being popular with so many DJs and new DJs,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But I think also what I want to touch on is that obviously going back to what we said, the musical movement started 20 years ago, give or take.
Yes.
So what is next for musical movements? As you know, we've launched Dubai, so crazy. Musical
That's
Movement
right.
Dubai.
Musical Movement International has now launched in
That's
Dubai.
crazy, man.
So we have set up the business out there. I will be relocating myself out there. Um, I guess we've taken the UK to a great position. I'm thankful. I'm grateful for where we're currently positioned in the market. I think it feels right for us to expand the operation. I feel like what we do,
Yeah.
it will be well received in Dubai, the UAE, and surrounding regions. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like for a company that can provide production, DJs, live bands, entertainment all through the same umbrella is something I'm really excited about bringing to the UAE. I also feel like there's lots of opportunity there, and I think I've always wanted to explore it. It's been like a calling for me. I think every time I've gone to Dubai, something good happened. Something good has happened in regards to bookings or just vibes or peace of mind. There's been like a calling, I would say, for me to kind of explore it. So, as you know, it's been on the cards for numerous years. It's now in motion.
Yeah.
So next year will be the start of it. We've also have secured numerous bookings in the UAE. Partly why the need for someone to be on the ground there makes sense. So we've got shows running as early as next year,
Amazing. Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be exciting because DJing in Dubai has always been great. You know, I've done some epic parties out there, including birthday parties, anniversaries, weddings. So it's gonna be great, man.
Dubai is always fun. I think when I think of Dubai, I always think about luxury. So Rugs, obviously, speaking of luxury, what would you kind of tend to see? We've seen obviously so many luxury weddings in our lifetime. What would you potentially see at a luxury wedding in Dubai?
So I would say that some of the luxurious weddings I've covered in Dubai, they kind of have a phenomenal setup. So the aesthetics is very important. Having customized dance floors,
Yeah.
customized staging, LED walls, lighting, all of those kind of key details. Naturally, with destination weddings in Dubai, they're going to be spread across a few days. So having a welcome party potentially like on a rooftop or something along those
Yeah.
lines, a yacht
Okay.
party, thing like that is always a great idea. Having like a Mendy party or something along those lines with some sort of elements of celebrity acts or entertainment is always great as well, or something with more
Yeah.
kind of dance related functionalities. And then having like the grand finale with the band. And obviously being the bando or representing that aspect of things, that's been a popular, proven method. But also, and that goes for luxurious weddings worldwide, like excluding just the UAE. The wedding that we're doing also in Italy, Portugal, those kind of parts of the world, it kind of has the same formalities where you've
Yeah.
got a welcome party, you've got the second day, which might be like the Mendy party or Sangeet party, the third day, which will be potentially the ceremony, followed by a reception. And obviously, the new package we put together, the Entertainment Lux, is detailed, it's tailored, and it's exactly for what people planning something extravagant would want. Like the thought, the process, the personalization, the detail is basically what we're pushing, and this is going to work phenomenally in the UAE for sure. Surrounding regions, and this is where the trend is for the next year, no doubt.
No, this is amazing. So I think it's probably safe to say that the whole transition of the whole Lux Entertainment package is going to be the in thing, because that way you can have different theme nights, you can have a direction in where your wedding wants to go from the start. So would you also say it's one of them kind of situations where musical movements will also kind of plan the whole kind of wedding celebration as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's two ways. So as we know, we've got an internal planning team. So
Yeah.
we have got a planning division in
Okay.
the middle,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
a umbrella of musical movements,
Yeah.
which can assist in respect to the fine detail of things like that,
Yeah.
helping the motion on the ground in the
Yeah.
UK as such. But naturally, if you're having a destination wedding, it's always safer to rely on also having a planner from the native country where your wedding is, because they speak the lingo, they know the suppliers,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
and they can team up
Yeah.
and they understand the vision based on past experience in working at specific venues, which is the unreal. The sometimes it's safe to say if you're booking a planner from the UK, you're having a destination wedding. There's a good chance they don't know that venue.
Yeah.
So you need someone that understands the venue, the details, the logistics, the suppliers. So Entertainment Lux having that kind of opportunity to have our planning division involved from the front end, dealing with flights, because naturally, if you're booking a 15-piece band, 2 or 3 DJs, etc., there's a lot of flights involved.
Yeah.
But also extending those flight opportunities to all of the guests that might be coming.
Yeah.
So that's something I feel like is becoming more prominent. It's becoming a lot more easier for our division to deal with the logistics of accommodation, flights, artists. But I think I love it when clients just leave it in our hands and say, listen, I'm getting married. This is the country I'm getting married in. This is what I'm doing. Give me a proposal.
This is it.
Because I can just say, okay, what's important to you? I just done a really good proposal the other day where someone was mentioning the highlights of music and how important it is. So East African heritage, they've got their Indian heritage, they've got their Western heritage. They wanted to kind of bring music together. So it's quite easy for us to navigate. All right, so like day one, we're going to do this with your playlist. Day two, we're going to do this. Day three, we're going to do this. This is what I'm going to curate a playlist for your the moment your guests are picked up on the coach from the airport, the moment they come in the hotel lobby, the moment they're having their lunch, they're having their dinners, everything is going to be customized on the musical journey you've told me. You don't need to tell me the song. You don't need to give me too much detail. Let our team of musical experts piece together the playlist that your guests will never forget, but entertain with talent that is unmatched. And I think that's what we've seen. Like the amount of weddings we've done.
Creating memories, right?
Absolutely.
For sure. From the get-go until for years to come, right?
Absolutely. So, and this is it. Like if you really want to go the next stage and you really want your guests to feel something, like entertainment for me is always is the key aspect of things. And you know, we've pushed into the band world. This is over 3 years since we've launched the Bando, and the Bando's had phenomenal success
Bando's
worldwide.
epic. If you haven't seen the Bando, absolutely epic. Check them out.
Absolutely,
sure.
Yes, great plug as well. Just plugged in there. So it's safe to say you can transform a room with live entertainment and live bands. Those in conjunction with the DJs, with the theming, with the playlist. You know, it's the foundation for a dream wedding. And that's it. I mean, naturally, it might come across a bit biased, but we're music lovers. Is why we started this business. Why we got involved in this game. You know, music is the main reason what drives me. It's the only reason what I'm actually more excited about doing than anything else. Still till this day, I wake up, you know, singing songs in my mind. There's loads of different
Do you
things.
remember like LimeWire, Napster, and all that stuff?
I do actually, yes. The good days.
We were actually talking about that recently, man. Like I think it's probably safe to say anyone in the DJ industry, whatever, always used to use all these download sites or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think what I love to also touch on is like the difference between obviously live entertainment and DJs. You know, a lot of questions that we get also is like, why should we have a band? Why should we have just a DJ? What, you know, how can we have a nice mixture, you know, with each other throughout our wedding time? But I feel like they're too separated in this entirety, because as DJs, as you know, we can mix it up quite quickly as well. With live band, you get such a brilliant atmosphere from a live element and a musician to basically kind of make an event, like, you know, take it to a next level, right?
No, absolutely. But the DJ is still at the forefront of everything, right?
Yeah.
You always will need the DJ first, in my opinion. Then you add the band to that, and that's how they work together.
Yeah.
So in any event I've done, it's very rare that you'd say, okay, let me just book a band. And only a band, because then you're forgetting, okay, so who's going to play the background music and the guests coming in the room? Because bands will only perform for a window of up to 90 minutes, potentially 120 minutes, give or take, depending on how many musicians you have.
Yeah.
Most bands, they don't come with DJs. So I think we're probably quite a unique concept in respect to offering a band that comes with a DJ, and not just any DJ, like an epic DJ that's going to be able to read the crowd, play in between the band, play some of the backing tracks for the band, understand the vision, making sure the songs are not crossed over. Yeah. But the DJ brings that energy, right? Like, you know, the bands obviously naturally bring their energy as well. But in my opinion, I always like it when the bands do a dinner set. Yeah. They potentially do an element of the guests entering the room. They do a party set, and then the DJ leads all the way to the end with all of the club bangers. Yeah. So for me, that's always the right formula.
And it's nice because you got like a balance. Like you got the kind of the band taking care of dinner, like hyping up the crowd and stuff, and then trajecting into like a nice party set. But then also you got the couples bangers, like must play playlists as well. They might have like 20, 50 bangers on a playlist. Yeah. That they want to include as well, right? So having a nice balance with like older generation, younger generation.
That's the key. You know what? That's the beauty. When you've got a dinner set running and you've got like songs like, you know, I don't know, Marvin Gaye, Lovely Day, Temptations, Benny King, artists along those regions, then you know that the older generation are really going to appreciate that a little bit more.
Nostalgia, man. Yeah.
Exactly. Course, and when you're playing for a wedding, you're playing for everyone. You're naturally, yes, okay, the party aspect of things might be tailored slightly more toward the younger generation sometimes. But naturally, in that room, it's safe to say you're going to have varied age ranges. Yeah. And it's safe to say that genres of music that they appreciate are going to vary amongst each other. So you're trying to play a part in pleasing everyone, as many people as you can. And I think that's the important part. But that's why I love the band playing at different parts. But also, when bands are not playing during dinner, you know, I play a lot of really good classic songs in the Motown era.
Crazy background playlist, right? So.
But background music for me is perhaps something that's underlooked the most, because to be honest with you, if you've got 200 people 300 people, 400 people on a dance floor, it's easy. It's easy because if you got a
Yeah.
dance floor right in front of you, if you got the bar in the same room,
Yeah. Happy
if
days.
you got the DJ there, it's easy.
Yeah.
If you try to do a wedding with
Yeah.
50 people, 40 people, 30
Yeah.
people, any song you might play that might, not connect with 10 of the guests on the dance floor and they leave it, you'll feel it, you'll see it.
Yeah.
Playing for smaller audiences is much harder than playing for bigger audiences.
Yeah. No, I think it's important. And I think just touching on all of this in as a whole, DJing to live bands to kind of understanding, what the couple or the guests might want. As we know, just say on average, I would say this year, weddings are becoming a lot more kind of smaller. Like, for example, if we look at maybe like 5-6 years back, you might have a reception which has like 500 to 600 guests, right? Possibly. And then now, like, especially this year, I've seen like 200, 250, 180.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
look at the venues. Like, we can clearly see the
Yeah.
statistics on the amount of jobs that we've done, that the numbers have been less than 300. 10 years ago when we started this industry, when we're starting DJing in the wedding world, even longer than that, numbers were on average 400-500. So it's safe to say you can clearly see the divide in regard to the amount of weddings based on that many guests.
Yeah.
And also the scale of weddings being more so done in venues that accommodate less numbers. Like beforehand, we used to do the bigger venues that have capacity for 500 people. But of course, clients that are getting married that only have 200 guests are not going to book a venue that's got a capacity of 500 because there's no need.
Yeah.
So the bigger venues as such are definitely declining. The venues that are more accommodating for anything up to 100 guests all the way to maybe 300, give or take, are definitely on the rise. But we've seen this trend year after year after year. So it's safe to say that's happening. But that's with UK audiences.
Yeah. This is what I mean. Yeah.
When we're doing clients now with the US,
Yeah.
we're doing clients from UAE, from India. They still have big guest lists. They still have a lot of audience and guests coming.
Crazy. Like some of the international weddings that we've done, especially the US clients as well, they love to party.
Yeah.
They will always love partying. I'm talking older generation, younger generation, even in between, they won't stop partying. Like you might think, oh, okay, only this section will like Bollywood, or this section might like some Telugu tracks or whatever, or some commercial or pop, whatever. They all party to everything.
Yeah.
And I think I love that. But
it's true. But the family's coming together. It's always a vibe, and that's why I think I much more enjoy doing weddings now than I do doing clubs.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more of a purpose when you're playing for someone to be happy.
Yeah.
You're playing for a room full of love, and everyone's just vibing, and there's good vibes at the end of it. Even at the end of the evening when you're getting like a round of applause or anything along those lines, it makes you feel like actually, what.
Yeah.
This was great. This was fun. Like sometimes you'll get around to pull that clubs, but very rarely. And like I feel like clubs where people are a lot more kind of, it's easier to play in nightclubs because essentially you're playing for the same demographic majority of the time, right? It's not like you're playing for someone in the 60s, 70s, and someone that might
you just got a room full of people,
basically,
and you're playing a multi-genre set kind of thing, innit? Right? Based on 5-6 hours. But I think just to touch on that, so obviously, as you know, for weddings, we always have a range of guests, right? It could be a 5-year-old, could be 18-year-old, it could be 25, it could be 65, 75. One of the questions I ask, especially on Zoom or like phone calls, is like, who are your guests? And I think just to link on that, one of the touchy subjects that we all find as an entertainment company is how much do things cost? For example, you have a live band, you have a DJ, you have a production package. Why should sometimes people spend on certain packages just to get their vision right? And why should you include certain, aspects of, making sure that their vision is kind of fulfilled, basically?
Yeah, absolutely. So to be honest, to answer this question, right, I do get asked this a lot. I get asked, why are you more expensive than other companies? Why are you more expensive than other DJs? There's justification in pricing. So if you are pricing yourself in a specific category, and you know your worth, you know how much your equipment's worth, you know how much time and effort you've spent on your craft or your style, whatever that might look like, right? There's always going to be clients that have specific budgets, and there's always going to be suppliers that have specific expectations. There's always going to be different price points amongst various different companies. So I think when people do ask, I think it's difficult. You can't compare one company to the other company like for like, because the pricing is going to vary, because what they value themselves at is going to be different to what someone else values their brands at or their style at. So I think it's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. I think it comes down to like how much you really want them to some respect. There's a supply and demand.
Yeah.
If I know we're pitching a DJ that has 50 shows already booked for next year, then why would I be selling him at a lower rate or price point when we know he's already got the demand and his price can go up or he's holding a certain weight? Because naturally, I get asked this a lot with DJs, include yourself, including Shrey, and a lot of the other DJs. Like, why are you guys so expensive?
Yeah.
Why are you more than other DJs and other companies and stuff like that? And it's kind of come down to supply and demand.
I think, yeah, just touched on that. I'd rather be transparent. Like, I think a lot of the time couples do ask, like, how come your pricier than this, or your quote's coming out a bit higher than, X, Y, Z. I think it's because of the portfolio and what we've done, you see?
Yeah, absolutely. If we
seen
know
what
the
we've done, right?
portfolio, and I know who we're up against sometimes.
Yeah.
So then, if it's a case that there's great DJs in this industry, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, 100%.
But there's also DJs that are perhaps not as experienced or not as good, in my honest opinion.
Yeah.
So it kind of comes down to two. If a client really thinks that another DJ that's coming at a lower price point is better and more suited, and they like their style, absolutely. There's not a right or wrong answer for that. It's all to do with preferences. We understand that. I think it's safe to say though, it's sometimes difficult when someone's asking you to price match someone that is in a different category in respect to like what their production levels might be at, what their experience levels might be at, and what the demand might be at, more importantly. So I normally find this with parents, if I'm honest with you. Parents of bride and grooms.
Do you feel like sometimes there's a lot of people kind of in the discussion? Like, it's not a bad thing sometimes. Obviously, we love family. We love all brothers, sisters, mums, dads, aunts. But sometimes you feel like it should kind of be based on just the couple.
100% should be just on the couple, in my opinion. Like bride and grooms should be the one dictating who's getting married, unless they've said to their parents, listen, guys, you know what? I don't mind who you book. You guys deal with it all absolutely fine. No problem. I find it harder to work with parents because they will just want to ask for discount. They don't understand why we're charging what we're charging. They don't understand the value of what we offer. And it comes across sometimes the wrong way. So I feel like that is normally what happens to some of the clients I talk to. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not all of the clients. There's parents I've talked to that I work with quite frequently that have been really understanding, really easy to work with and understanding their vision of what they want. But I always find it easier to deal with bride and grooms and dealing with what they want and their kind of requests and then figuring it out. Because whoever's paying for it, for us, it doesn't matter. Like, if it's a parent dealing with it and they go through the bride and groom, it's fine. But what I find happen, the bride and groom will deal with us, negotiate something, agree on something. Then I'll get a phone call from sometimes a parent that says, oh, you're doing this wedding, but why is it so expensive? Can I pay you in cash? Can we not do this? Can you match this price of this other company? And then we kind of, it gets to a fine line of finding an appropriate balance of being kind of respectful versus disrespectful. Because we understand what we're trying to do. The bride and groom kind of understand what we do. And then we're just caught up in the middle of actually, like, where do we go from here?
I was going to say, sometimes we feel like we're in the middle because sometimes we speak to couples. And even if we look at their, like, for example, musical preferences and themes and stuff, they might be like, okay, cool. Just like for the first 10 minutes, can you play a few of these songs for our parents? And then can you just switch it to our playlist? You see what I mean?
No, but to be honest with you, when bride and groom have their parents involved with the playlist, I encourage that. No problem.
Absolutely.
Playlist-wise, if the families want to hear like generational music from a time where they grew up, a genre that they want to hear,
we love that.
Absolutely, no problem. I only find it difficult working with parents when it comes to the sale. And that part of it. But after the sale is done and we're in, there's no problem meeting with families, friends. It's just that I find it a little bit challenging at times to speak to multiple members of a family when we don't need to.
But I think it's probably safe to say our processes are brilliant. For example, the moment the client couple get in touch to actually lead them to, the information about the quote, to how we doing things, the next steps of things, for example, your booking forms, to your deposits, to setting up WhatsApp groups, to your Zoom calls. I think it's explaining it to show that, okay, cool, this is what you're getting for the amount that you paid for, but also understanding, okay, cool, this is how our team's going to actually bring that vision to life. Like, I think a lot of the time, like, couples ask, like, okay, you see, especially guests as well. Guests might walk in and be like, okay, cool, wow, this is amazing. This is a beautiful screen, lighting, portmans, whatever, the staging. but what happens behind the
No,
decks, people don't know,
No, they don't.
which is why the cost comes into it.
No, absolutely. Because like, people
So-
factor in the DJ's cost on the actual event date. They forget, okay, how much time is utilized in the build up to that?
Yeah, yeah.
How many meetings have you had with the client to go through the visuals? How many meetings have you had with the client's family that might be doing speeches to go through presentation pictures?
Yeah.
The designing the logo aspect of things, customizing the bar aspect of things, the
the
playlist,
detail.
the family's involvement within that. Naturally, the good thing about a DJ's journey is that it ends after the event date majority of the time. I think with photography and videos, they naturally have to extend their time frames in regards to after edits and going back and forth, which is fine. That's part of their journey. Our journey naturally starts from the moment when they accept the quote or accept us to be their vendor and kind of work with them from that moment onwards. But we're quite hands-on in approach in regards to helping connect people, which I find is great. I think being able to be involved with the right or recommending the right suppliers based on our vision to some capacity, based on what the bride and groom vision is ultimately.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like all tallying together in that respect. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of work that goes into it. As you know, the process that we've got is clean, it's transparent.
Yeah.
As we've made it as easy as possible for bride and groom to digest like the information.
Yeah.
So that they are guided through each journey. Okay, guys, this is what your options are in regard to the booking. Now, it's not very important to finalize all of the items of what you need to book today. I don't mind if you don't book the dance floor, the LED wall today, but it's important you choose a basic package with a DJ, because that is the foundation for us to secure the DJ, secure the date, and then we can always add items to the quote later. And I always tell my clients this, like, don't worry too much about picking exactly what you want, because your wedding is next year. You do not know what you want next year. You don't even have a decorator booked. You don't have half of your suppliers booked. So just book, things that you know are going to get booked fast. Book them. You got a DJ, he's going to get booked. And that's the reality. If they don't book you, I've seen this with you
hit the
numerous
nail on the
times.
head.
This year, I've told clients, if you don't book, Deven in specific, like how many times this happened, I've called you.
Yeah.
And he's like, so just to give some context, I've called Deven to say, Deven, are you free on this date? And he has a client that's shown interest but hasn't committed. And I quite always will just say, look, all we do need is a minimum commitment, secure the date. And if they don't do it, then I've got a client that will book you.
How many times this year has it happened?
It must have happened over 15 times that I can recall.
Even on, just say, one singular date. It could be a popular date in August or July. You might have a couple that's inquiring. You might have 3-4 couples on that same date. But if the date goes, it goes. Then sometimes we get screwed at.
It goes. But look, if you put it into context, you've already got over 40 weddings booked for next year.
Yeah.
As a company, we've got over 250 weddings booked for next year. This year, it's the first time we've seen dates for next year fully booked already.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. Listen, if you want Deven Musiq at your wedding, let me just tell you now, it is important that you get him booked sooner rather than later, because his dates will go for sure. There's no doubt.
But you know what? I'd rather be transparent. So this is my total opinion, right? So just say if I'm looking at a couple that's inquired, they've picked up the phone and they've called us in, they've called me or they messaged me saying, Dev, we're looking to book a package with yourself. My first question is, have you booked a venue and a date?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, if you've booked a venue and a date and it's locked in, you need to book your DJ first rather than any other suppliers. It's my opinion. How do you feel about
100.
who would you
agree.
book first in your suppliers?
For me, it's
Get it.
always going to be entertainment.
Yeah.
Always. Entertainment is the main thing for a party. And I think
Yeah.
the amount of parties or events that we're at, I would always prioritize that. In this generation, it's much more important for, I would say, the party element of a reception. I obviously say this being very biased, so I bluntly put it out there as that message. I would say if you've got a date and venue, sometimes the venues might come with a catering company, which means at least you know which catering company you're going to have. I understand the importance of the food and the catering aspect of things, and absolutely for some clients, catering is going to be more important than everything else, which is absolutely fine. But generally speaking, once you've got a date and venue, it's safe to say a lot of the clients will know what they want, who they want, and that goes for decorators as well. Like some of the decorators, there's big differences between who you get onboarded. There's big differences between which planner you get onboarded.
Yeah.
And some of the planners can only take on one show on a day. So if you're looking for people that is one of one, you need to basically book those people first. That also kind of applies for photography, video aspect of things. As I said, production is the easy part. You can add production because we've got lots of it, so it's not a problem. So generally speaking, I would be aligned with that. I would say, like, get your date secured. This year, I've seen lots of clients getting in touch just to book the band,
Yeah.
or confirming before they book a venue. Hey guys, just before I book this venue, can you confirm you are available and this DJ is available, this band's available? In which case we can say at this current state, yes, we have availability. If you're booking the venue in the coming days, we'll hold this date for you until you booked it. Just reach back out. And we'll connect the dots and get things processed for you, because I think, again, it's fast, it's transparent, and I think it's also safe to say our process is trustworthy. We wouldn't add any hidden costing. No additional charges are coming after, and I find that this happens a lot when we're getting price matched against another client. Clients might say, well, you're charging a certain amount for a floor, this company is charging a certain amount for a floor or wall, and then the sizes are different. The bases are different. Some of them are not using MDF, some of them are. So there's huge variations in what sometimes you see. And then what happens is you will end up booking something, and then after, clients might be like, oh, well, you've booked a band from us, but then you booked an external company that hasn't provided the technical requirements for that band. And then when they charged for that, you'll see that it's quite substantial. And I've seen this lots this year, where clients have, they've booked another band. They've got in touch with us. We're already doing the production. The band has not told them about the technical rider or how much it costs to have a sound technician, all of the in-ear monitors, all of the kind of functionality for a band to have, and then kind of feel like, why is there an additional charge for something? So be clear, be transparent with your vendors to understand actually what you're booking. Is there any additional charges, and what's included, basically? And again, if anyone's unsure, you can always reach out to us beforehand or even after. We can always guide you through that.
But I think it's important, like, for example, if you look at quotations and how the quote is broken down, right, you can see all the items that are included. For example, DJ booth, DJ for X amount of time. It could be the production lighting. It could be, transportation staff, all of that. I think this is what, it's good to kind of relay that back to our couples to show, like, why quotes are X amount and, what they include.
Well,
right?
absolutely. And I think, firstly, I think it's safe to say our team are very, open. They're very transparent. They're very nice. They communicate. But also that goes without saying, I think, our reviews speak for themselves. Like, there's a reason why we've got over 450 5-star reviews. And it's because we care. We care about the detail. We care about the client's journey. And, we want to be part of something that we're hoping to get repeat business from at the same time. But also it means something for us when we do that. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, I always judge it in a way, like, after an event is done, I only feel like it was a successful event if we got a review.
We don't do 4-star reviews at all.
We definitely do not. But
we got 5-star.
Yes, indeed. And I'd also say that, like, sometimes we feel like our job is not kind of completed unless we see that 5-star reviews. Why are we so particular in chasing the teams, just to kind of understand where we're positioned? Because it doesn't mean you've done a bad job if you don't get a review, but we know that. But I do feel like clients will go out of their way to write a 5-star review if you've gone out of their way, essentially, to do all you can to ensure that their day has gone as smooth as possible. So I'm glad, like, as a company, the reviews have definitely spoken for themselves, and over the years it's been something we're proud of, man. And I think you're probably the most reviewed DJ in our company, actually. So I guess
something like that, right?
That goes a long way. It says a lot. So
I think,
well done.
For me, Ruggs, I'll tell you why. I think for me, like, it wouldn't sit well unless I know that it's been a success, right?
Right.
I always love to get a review, whether it's a video review or a Google review or something along those lines, right? Yeah, I try and get the couples on a video, have some fun with them, or try and cut up a reel. As you know, after every wedding, I upload a story.
You're fast with the socials. You're fast with
social. I think content is key, man. But I think just recently as well, this year, I've been talking to a few couples, and first thing they looked at was actually Google. And it's interesting to see that actually we were looking at through the reviews, and as musical movements, and just say particularly myself, there's so many reviews that are great to see. That it's safe to say that this is someone that we can trust, or a company that we can rock with, right? So I think it's important.
But that's right, because if I'm about to book someone somewhere or something, I look at Google and I'll look at reviews and I'll be like, okay, cool. So firstly, I can see the general consensus of the overall brand or person in specific as such, and it gives me consensus or trust or belief, but also recommendations. And I think a lot of our clients that come through have come through someone that's used us, someone that's recommended us, and then the Google is a verification or verifies that, okay, cool, these guys are what people say they are.
Yeah.
Because we could be here all day saying we're the best, we're this, we're that, but really that doesn't matter. Like, it's got to be based on what do our clients see, what do our suppliers see us, where are we positioned in that respect. So it's always important. But I think it sets the backbone, and like I think that process allows the client to really, before they get on a call sometime with clients, give them some sort of insight behindhand. But I know you as one of the nicest people in the industry, so I think it's helpful.
I try to be in it.
When you get that, when you've got a helping hand, when you've got someone that's just there, you know, I guess there's a stigma with DJs, right? So some DJs have an arrogant arrogant stance as such, so some people may say.
Sometimes like it kind of builds towards it, or sometimes it comes with it, but it kind of depends on, I think, a number of things. Like, for example, I've been doing this for many years now, right? Since I was in my teens. I met you when I was 18, 19, whatever, prior to musical. But just like kind of knowing that, just being yourself, but also having that charismatic approach where you can be like a helping hand for someone, but also like knowing that you can still smash a party. And still, you don't need to have this like kind of whole ego madness or whatever. Like, just be you.
No, exactly. Do you know what? To be honest with you, I think you just want to have fun, man. I think I still look at this as fun in some respect. This for me has never been about making money. It's never been about money. It's just been like, somehow it's evolved to where it is today, and I'm grateful for it. But the journey was about fun. The journey was about music. It was about creating good vibes. And you know, sometimes you might have bad days. That's the reality. Sometimes you might be in a bit more of a mood than other days.
Challenging.
When you're tired, when you've got back-to-back shows running, sometimes when you haven't been fed, like as small as that is, weird as that is, I think any DJ that's watching this, or any supplier that's watching this, knows the importance of when you're at an event and you're at an event all day, and sometimes you're not presented with an opportunity to eat. It eats up at you, right? Because sometimes the hunger is only sometimes the factor that can trigger things.
But I think like we're pretty good. We're trying to get into routine now. Like, if you look at our kind of day to day, try and go gym, smash out our meetings, smash out our day, go for lunch or have lunch, eat clean. Do you know what I mean? And just prep for the weekend. I think it's important, because that way your mind frame's gonna obviously stay within that kind of that focus, right?
No, 100%. But like, gym goes hand in hand with moods in some respect, and moods go hand in hand 100%. With DJs and music and playlists and stuff like that.
You know what? It's all about balance. Going back to the whole gym stuff as well. Like, having a balance between our lifestyle's crazy, right? All the DJs in the team, always out every weekend, the late nights, the early starts. So I think gym is a great thing. We got into sauna and steam and cold plunge this year as well.
Indeed.
Like, all of that stuff. We're trying to jump on the tread. I've never tried paddle, but I want to try it.
You know what? I've never played paddle, but everywhere I go,
everyone's doing it.
Someone's like, do you play paddle?
Yeah.
And it's like, nah. Even Jason's
paddle.
We play paddle as well. So we shall play paddle soon.
But yeah, just to touch on that. So speaking of mixes, I know mixes are a very important part to, I would say, sustain clients, to bring in new clients. In my opinion, obviously, we know socials and obviously Instagram reels and stuff are really, really popping and trending in different ways. There's so many different themes right now within the first, 5 or 10 seconds. You know, if you capture that right client or couple, you know, you're winning. But I think also mixes is where we started. Yep. You know, how important are mixes for you, and why is it important to kind of reach out to our clients with mixes?
I think mixes is the foundation of actually getting to the next stage of actually whether you want to progress with a potential DJ. And that goes with us from when we sign people.
Yeah.
We'll always make sure that we understand their mixes. We got an idea of what they can do. We got an idea essentially of who they are.
Yeah.
It's kind of, again, it's just like it's like try before you buy aspect of things, right? You'd want to make sure the DJ is at a good enough standard. This is if you don't know the DJ, right? Yeah. If you do know the DJ and you've heard them beforehand, then at least you've kind of got the kind of foundation to know what they sound like, how that kind of is. So I think the art of DJing comes down to, like, why would you not want to create mixes for your audience? Why would you not want to give out mixes? And if you love what you do, you kind of want to treasure it in some capacity. You want to make it, save it there in the future, come back and listen to it. Like, as weird as it is, I listened to some of my first mixes, Musical Millions Volume 1, right? And the mixes in there, in my opinion now, are terrible. But, you know, if you've got stems out, the mixes I'm doing now, I'm putting out are like
Fire.
another level.
Yeah.
Because you got different things, you got different features now. Back in those days, like there was no, pitch and key. There was no understanding that kind of aspect of things. You couldn't change the pitch and that much kind of that drastically and make it sound good. Now you can be very, very creative with things. And like even watching Barai, when I'm watching him DJ now, he's has a lot of fun with it. Like what he can do with that, like it's dope. And I'm also watching when I play with you, like Shrey, Rishi's got some mad mixes, putting it like when everyone's there. The funniest thing is we can all do the same thing, but we all do it differently. Stems have brought out some next level personalities because you can really shine. Like you can mix genres that you would never have been able to cross over by just cutting out the acapella on something, cutting out the beats on something else, throwing them in a mix and be like, cool.
And you don't even need AI for this. See, you just need musical movements. I'm telling you now.
That's right. we are AI.
We're literally AI, bro. But nah, I think it's probably safe to say the journey's been crazy so far. So obviously we got Dubai next year. Just out of interest, just throwing it out there, is there any other countries you would love to set up an office?
Absolutely.
Just out of interest.
Yes. Next up is New York.
New York.
Next
Okay.
up is New York for sure.
Look out for MM New York.
So that's next up. That's probably going to be in the coming years.
Yeah.
Our new office will be opening there very, very soon. But the attention all currently is in the UAE. Our second office, our main headquarters will now be based there. So I'm looking forward to that, which means also you will be in Dubai lots, hopefully, to come and see us.
This is mad. I can't lie. I might have just told the camera right now. I've never been to Dubai in my life. I think people think I've been to Dubai or I look like a UAE person. I definitely smell like someone.
Yeah, you've definitely got the fragrances for it, for sure, man. So,
yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think Dubai is going to be epic because I think the whole destination of doing a wedding abroad, but also in Dubai is going to be, I would say, the in thing. And it always kind of has been picking up. I know I've got a lot of friends that are moving to Dubai and they've always told me, Dev, you need to kind of move out there. And I know yourself, you're moving there permanently. So it's going to be an epic kind of journey. I think, what would you want to see kind of different? For example, I know we're talking about playlists and mixes and stuff.
Yeah.
What would you, just say if just throwing it out there, what would you actually see on a millionaire or billionaire's playlist?
No, it's nothing out of the extraordinary that I can recall from it. I mean, I've done some crazy parties.
They're still party, right?
Crazy things.
Yeah.
For sure, over the last few years. And actually, I want to ask you a question. Like, what's the craziest thing that you've seen at a wedding?
So I've seen quite a few. I don't know if I can say this, to be honest.
Say it. Let's put it out there.
I don't know if they'll... Actually, do you know what? We're cool anyway. So basically, I did a wedding, was it last year? And this was... I'm going to say who it is. No, it's not the couple's name, but as in...
It depends what it is, because I don't actually know what he's about to say. So
things, I'm allowed to say the profession or not really? Then I can't say the story.
say the story, then come back to the profession maybe after.
So basically, in a nutshell, we were having the time of our lives. It was a 3-hour set wedding. So after the entrance, the dinner, the speeches, they had like a nice 3 hours on the dance floor, right? And they just got naked, bruv. Basically, they were just in literally their boxers and everything was off.
The bride and groom was like
just the groom. The bride wasn't there. I think.
Where was she gone?
She went out to take photos and she was with her friends at the bar and stuff. Like did a couple of things, but yeah, they just ended up doing a madness like on the dance floor. But then obviously they got changed back after and stuff. But I didn't film nothing because I was like, this is a. I'm not going to say
it's a bit awkward. It's a bit awkward if you did start filming that, right?
I'm not going to say the profession, but this was mad. Like I think also I was told by one of the colleagues not to take any videos of this one. So yeah. So but then they ended up all being naked also inside the photo booth. So I was just like, yo, this is mad.
I've been at parties where guests have taken their tops off and things along those lines. Some of them equally as well. But I guess one of the wildest things I've seen at a wedding was the hotel burning down. Like literally a firework hit the roof and then it caused a fire.
Mad.
And basically the building burnt down. And it was crazy as it was. Like guests were also in the room. Yeah. So they kind of come out and my wife was actually in the room. Okay. And someone knocked on the door and she kind of got out from there.
Crazy, okay.
But it just happened. The party was on the beach. So the reception party. Beautiful setting, amazing family, amazing friend circle. They were lovely, and I think just the firework, the wind must have somehow just took it a little bit further out, hit the hotel, the rooftop, When within like 45 minutes or so, I think that the whole building literally burnt down, and then unfortunately the event had to end there.
Wow. Okay.
And I just remember I think it's like the embassy was just asking who's got a British passport.
Yeah.
And whoever had a British passport was taken to another hotel. And the very next morning we had another flight heading to another show. But that was the wildest thing I think I've seen at a wedding. And it was still great vibe. There was no casualties, no injuries, and I still see the bride and groom at some of the family events that we've done. So unusual circumstance.
That's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. But I guess I could probably never forget that moment in my career of playing.
Nah, love to the families and friends, man. That's crazy. I think you know what, we see a lot of things at weddings, but I think okay, so that's I'm probably safe to say that's probably the UK stuff. Okay. What's the latest time you've played at a destination wedding? Obviously UK,
Wow.
it's hard. UK, we know it's a cut off like 12, maybe 1
Yeah.
if they got an extension.
But
I've done some crazy stuff, but what is the
You know
latest
what?
time you played?
I done a show in Montenegro recently.
Yeah.
And myself and Shagan were playing until at least 7:30 in the morning.
Big up Shagan.
And it was crazy because actually this particular party, we was booked until 3 o'clock.
Okay.
So I was under the impression that we're playing until 3. And I think somehow between the lines, it was okayed for the party to continue as long as they kind of wanted to.
Yeah.
And at that point, we had our flight, and I think we had to leave to go to the airport about 8:30 or something like that. It was pretty early, so we was a little bit conscious of that. But it was me, Shagan, Quants, Alea was there. It was an epic show, and then basically they partied all the way till early morning. We watched the sunrise. We watched the sunrise, and like coming home at that time, you feel a little bit broken, but at the same time, you feel again like there was a sense of achievement, like to keep a party running from 9 p.m. to that time frame to 7:30 in
Live
the morning
in the mix.
is
You know what I'm saying?
is the endurance of that is crazy, and also the standing, the repetitive strain injury of scratching, sometimes has a bit of a balance on it. And when you're not sleeping, sleeping is ultimately healing. When you're not sleeping and you're performing day after day after day, sometimes it can be a lot. But also my body clock is mad crazy. I wake up so early every day. I'm up like 7 a.m. And basically on the midweek day, I'm starting to like crash a lot earlier. But then on the weekend, you're kind of coming back out and you're playing until later. So how about you? I know you've done some crazy parties recently.
So I think destination weddings are epic. I think if anyone's getting married, we love the UK, but destination weddings hit differently. And I'll tell you what, I think because there's no limitations at times, right? Do you know what I mean? I think there were 2 this year in particular where I've finished early hours of the morning. I'm talking early, and I've literally jumped in the Uber straight to the airport in my suit.
Yeah.
Like it's one of them ones. Like literally like playing till like 4 or 5 in the morning. The Uber's there, jumping on the plane, coming back. But this is it's the beauty and fun of it. But also it works well if you have great clients like we do, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, we love all our bride and grooms, and it's just the understanding that we have, right? So we don't mind. Do you know what I mean?
But that's a good thing. I think like most of the destination weddings are always great and they're epic. But there's been a handful of weddings that I would say that perhaps haven't been planned as well. And sometimes if you've not got a plan B for a destination wedding, always have a plan B, because yes, it's much more likely that the weather's going to hold out. It's going to be good, but there is a slight possibility there may be rain. And if you haven't got a plan B, it derails a lot of the things, especially if you plan on having a party outside and then it does rain, because then you've got to deal with the aspect of moving that party from one place to the other. Sometimes it's cold. There's a lot of factors to kind of consider.
Yeah.
And so yeah, just throwing that out there, because that's a big impact on how long a party can go on to. Sometimes with some countries, they'll only allow music to be played up until a certain time. So that might be 11 o'clock, and then they move the party indoors. Mm-hmm. But generally, majority of countries I've guessed that we've operated in always have nice windows of opportunity to play longer. I feel like the UK hasn't got the scene where they have the power to extend licensing so frequently. I've done weddings in the UK. The very latest wedding I've done in the UK it's been 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
I've done a handful at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
A small amount at 1, but at least 80% of weddings that I do in the UK are based on the 12 o'clock finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably safe to say like there's so many kind of pros and cons with doing UK and destination weddings. I think a lot of the time, what couples, bride and grooms don't know is that we can also have musicians around the world that can come with us as well.
Absolutely.
With the bando and stuff that they've seen as well. We have multiple musicians in our team as well, whether you want a sax player, violinist and stuff, that which we have in our camp as well. I think what is, I would say, your kind of perfect package that you would have at a wedding? Just say, for example, if you had to have a combination of a musician, a DJ, or a band, like what would you kind of do in your kind of
So
in your
yeah,
wedding
like
day?
for me, I base this on the best parties I've probably done in the UK. So this package that I see as fit to be kind of in line with the best parties I've seen. I would start with naturally a DJ. You'll need a DJ booth, of course, a good sound system, a
Yeah.
good light show. But
Yeah.
I think for the DJ to have maximum impact, they need to be on the stage, because it just that little bit of kind of elevation just adds to the overall atmosphere.
agreed.
So
Yeah.
I would say a stage is vital. Now, I would say an LED screen kind of creates really great dynamics in regards to the party aspect, the lighting aspect, and just having great content to show. But if
Yeah.
you've got a stage as well, then yes, absolutely a band. Now, then you need a glass floor.
Yeah.
And then you need a bar opposite that. So my perfect package looks like a LED wall, a stage, a gloss floor, a live band, a bar that's essentially across the dance floor,
Yeah.
all kind of interlinked or close proximity to each other. Uplighters create a really nice ambience, and then production lighting, which adds to the atmosphere.
I think it's probably safe to say also, like with touching on what you said about having a bar inside the room, I think it's the biggest question for me that I ask to couples and bride and grooms is like, where is your bar located?
Right.
It's not a bad thing. It's just generally it's where it's a safe place for guests,
Yes.
friends, family to go.
But
Generally,
I agree,
But they
but-
go in a group.
yeah, but also what to factor in.
Yeah.
What I've noticed is if the bar's in the same room, which is great,
Yeah.
and the photo booth is in another room, then we're back to the same scenario of having some of the party broken into another place.
Interesting, yeah.
So I would also say if you have a photo booth, video booth, whatever that might look like, keep it in the same room, especially if you haven't got more than 200 guests.
Yeah.
If you've got a lot of guests at your wedding, that's fine. You can distribute different things in different places. But if you've got like less than 200, even like maybe less than 100, etc., factor that in. Like the bar should be in the same room if you want a good party, and that's
Yeah.
at the forefront of your agenda.
Yeah.
And the photo booth aspect of things also should be in the same space. But like I've done a lot of weddings recently. What's happening is they'll be like, okay, cool. So the bar's in the same room, the photo booth might be there, but then it's the tea, coffee, then the desserts are in another room, and then yes, sometimes you alienate some of the audience at a small proportion of that time. But I always say if space allows, keep everything in the same space and try your best not to break the party up.
But it's funny you say that. So I've had a few of those scenarios this year as well. And the tea and coffee station's been kind of outside the main kind of ballroom, right? But that's where I find a lot of the older generation go. And then the younger generation kind of stay.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
party up.
But sometimes that might work for them.
Yeah,
And if
for them.
that's done in that dynamic,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like we appreciate if it's sometimes overpoweringly loud and some of the family members just want to talk, it's quite difficult to do so right next to a loudspeaker or in the middle of a dance floor.
Yeah.
So having the opportunity to do so is cool. But I guess there's not a right or wrong answer to it. Everything will come down to personal preference.
Yeah.
But I always find the best parties are just the ones that have everything in the same location, in the same kind of place.
Yeah.
And that sets the tone. But coming back towards production and stuff like that,
Yeah.
what has been standing out for you? What do you think is important at a party? What kind of package would you recommend to clients
Yeah.
that are booking you?
I think, yeah, personally, I think with what you said about staging, I felt like it's been so important to have that kind of elevation to be on stage. Just so like, okay, this is our entertainment. When you walk inside the room, you see a grand kind of layout of what we've done in terms of production. You'll have lighting to create an atmosphere. I feel like lighting is key because if you really want to party and have a rave, then you've come to the right place because that lighting will have a big impact on the way the party will go as well.
Right.
Because of obviously just simultaneously kind of in conjunction with the music and stuff, our light text and stuff will kind of complement that as well.
Yes.
But also just having, I would say, a clean look. I would say the whole, even sometimes we think about, like personalization with like customized like logos and stuff. Sometimes you may or may not need that because end of the day, if you have the lighting, which is key for me, stage, DJ booth, just having a nice clean look, especially with if you have visuals that you want to actually play, like a trailer and stuff.
Yeah.
LED walls are brilliant for that.
Well, do you know what?
Sets
Like
the tone.
trailers, like some of the trailers I've seen this year for like the before a bride and groom entered the room have been epic.
Yeah.
And it sets that vibe like
Yeah.
from the get-go. And sometimes even playing that video game during the dinner and things like that is
Yeah.
great, especially with video teams that can do same day edits and they are able to capture
So
that.
talented, man.
It's
Yeah,
mad.
proper.
That
Yeah,
that
yeah.
turnaround time that some of these video teams,
Yeah,
hats off
epic
to you
stuff.
guys for
Yeah, man.
piecing some magical movie together. I've done some like really good weddings this year that the trailers have really stood out.
Yeah, especially with like the audio and the whole sound together.
The dramatic
yeah,
entrances.
the actual drops, and then even when they play it, and then the couple walks in,
Yes.
and then it creates a mad atmosphere. But touching on parties and themes and stuff, as you know, we love creating parties and raves and all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of venues, unfortunately, have limiters and sound restrictions. I think that's one question I always love to ask our couples is what venue have you booked? And also just to double check, have they or have they not got a
Right.
compressor or a limiter?
Okay.
What's your views on these?
Yeah, so
To be honest.
same. Like some of the venues that I know that have specific sound emitters or specific compressors, we understand which venues we can work with the systems and which venues perhaps are not as easy for us to work with.
Yeah, yeah.
So it kind of comes down to the venue because it's not necessarily a major problem if a venue has it if we know we can work with it. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's unrealistic that you can create a party that a client may want. So sometimes again, but also bearing in mind a lot of the venues that may have a sound emitter, some of the clients' agendas might not be at their forefront of their mind to have a big party and loud aspect of things.
This is
And
it.
some of them are a little bit more laid back
Yeah,
and chill.
yeah,
Is what I find.
Yeah.
So and that's fine. So normally I'll ask my clients like, what's important to you? Like, do you want it to be quite party centric?
Yeah.
Is it more of a chilling vibe? Like, what are you guys hoping for? What is it that you want to take from it?
Yeah.
Understanding the venue, understanding the limiters, and actually just being a little bit more transparent with them to say, look,
Yeah.
this is what you can do here. Sometimes it's difficult. Like some of the venues that have a sound limiter, we can't have musicians or percussionists play because
Yeah.
it will trigger it. So then we know which venues
Yeah.
naturally just doesn't make sense to have bands for, but can have DJs for. But at the same time, it's daunting knowing that if you're DJing or you're performing in a venue that has a sound limiter, it's
Yeah.
scary because if it cuts off, or you can't create
Yeah.
the sound volume needed to create a party, you look bad ultimately.
Yeah.
So those are factors I consider when I'm doing it. But I guess you guess you've just got to work with it. And
this is it.
unfortunately, with a lot of the venues that have it, if they have it and you book the venue, we will try our best to just work with it. But sometimes it can be hard.
Yeah,
That's
for
the truth.
sure.
How do you find it on your end?
I think with compressors, it's not so bad. I think for us being technical, we love to kind of find out what decibels, the limiters or compressors
Yeah.
are, and we can know. I think I'll be honest, I'm quite transparent with a couple. If I kind of know that, okay, this may not be the best of situations to work with, I always ask the questions of if it's going to be a party, is it going to be a rave, who are your guests? I think it's important to ask these questions because then you'll then be able to feedback and say, listen, we'll love to create a party for you as, no problem at all. But will it be that kind of rave that you want?
Right.
That elevation? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
That's the thing. Sometimes like that.
Yeah.
That's the truth of it, right? But
Yeah.
it's also it's bad when you sometimes playing at a venue, but then you can't pump the volume, but then they're asking,
This is
can
it.
they go louder? But then you're like,
Yeah.
this is the loudest it goes in this venue. Especially if they've got their own sound system and stuff like that. But I say some venues have spent a lot of money in ensuring the venue sounds good. So then it's fine because we know that, all right, cool. We know this venue, they've invested in sound system. There's fillers, there's everything that needs to be done. And there's a lot of venues that have got great sound systems. And sometimes it's great to work with that and it works. And there's no dramas in that. But there's others that, you struggle
Yeah.
to create it to a point where we've got a lot of DJs perhaps on our team that are a little bit more reluctant to want to take booking with specific places or with specific restrictions because it's just harder on their journey, especially if you're trying to build a brand.
Yeah.
You don't want guests to feel like, wait a minute, I went to this wedding and saw this DJ and the DJ was phenomenal on this party, so I booked him, and then when it was my party, it wasn't like that. And
Yeah.
it's not a case sometimes where, the DJ didn't perform. It's not a case that the guests weren't partying. It's a case that actually at this party, there was no sound restriction. The party was a full-on, like a madness. Then you got another venue that's potentially on a Saturday night, but the sound system not capable of providing that same feel, or the light show, or there's no haze allowed at the venue. There's small details.
Yeah.
So it's always important to kind of know that. And, now as established DJs, experienced DJs, we know, all right, cool. We know what venues, what we're working with. The reality is bride and grooms don't know this because majority of them, they're getting married for their first time.
Yeah.
They're finding a venue. They fall in love with the venue. They are happy with the price. They are not necessarily focused on a sound emitter, because why would they know what a sound emitter even is?
True.
They're not
Yeah.
going to understand the details in respect to how it works. Whereas we do, and then they book it, and then at some point it's past the point where we can say, well, look, this is what we can do. It's difficult, and you don't want to tell a client also, well, look, you booked a venue, has a sound limiter, you're not going to be able to play music so loud, and it might have a bit of an impact on the party, because you don't want to distress them and put them out,
Yeah. And I think
them worried.
Yeah, no, I think it's important. I think this kind of, I would say, in some sense, kind of go down to costings too. If you look at some of the hotels and venues that we've done, especially some of the maybe the higher price bracket venues, some of them don't have limiters, right? And then I feel like it's a connection with what you want as a theme as a wedding. If you really, really want that memorable event and it's your wedding day, obviously you want it to be as crazy as possible, then just go for it.
Well, look,
And spend if it has to be.
Absolutely,
Do you know what I
but
mean?
I'll also say, like, and
Yeah.
I'll openly put this out there, and I put this out there in the past.
you
If
have
a
a
client's booking a
Yeah.
venue and you haven't booked the venue yet, and you want some experience, or you want some advice in respect to that venue, please feel free. Like, reach out before booking a venue if you like. We can at least give you our honest take on specific places, because we've got great relationships with so many venues. So even our journey kind of starts quite early. So I'm happy to say, like, clients that haven't even booked the venue yet, that need input, that need advice, that want to be connected to great suppliers, like, reach out. We will be happy to point you in the right direction, connect the right dots, and give you the right advice before you make your decision.
I think just to touch on that, obviously, before we kind of wrap this up, so 2026 is looking crazy. What is maybe some of the top tips you'll give to maybe new clients that are getting in touch, or couples that are kind of progressing with their planning in their wedding?
I would say book on experience, book on vibes. Don't purely base your decision on price. I do think that is not always the main factor when it comes to entertainment, in my honest opinion. I would say secure the people that are important to you sooner rather than later. Like, that's an important part. Now, whatever's important to you in regards to your wedding, like, maybe write a priority list. Okay, so at the top of your priority list might be hopefully DJs, right? It might be bands, production, catering aspect, decor, all of the details, and maybe just with your other half understand, all right, so once the venue's booked, which category should we be ticking off? Maybe work on an allocated budget, like a total budget, so you've got an idea of where you'd want to be at, and then allocate a distribution of what you think you should be spending per category, and then work on your list and try to figure out, as you're moving, the budgets and how in line they are with what you've estimated.
Yeah.
So my advice is to definitely do that. My advice is also to create the party you want, get the right people involved that are going to get the vision right. And that's important. And yes, it does help if you've got suppliers that know each other, that can pass you along in respect to recommendations, and people who do work well together. It kind of helps to some capacity. Alternatively, if you find someone you like, ask the other suppliers that you're considering booking or have booked, what do you think of this work or this particular supplier? So you get some collective feedback. And I feel like sometimes clients don't always ask that, but also just bear in mind, most suppliers that are invested in your wedding are invested in the journey as well. So they want to ensure that, everything is kind of ticked off. Even though our departments, is music, is entertainment, it's production, we are happy to give advice on decorations. We are happy to talk to your decorator, visuals aspect of things. Like, it is interlinked to some respect.
Yeah. I think it's all interlinked. I think it's always good when you have suppliers on board, like we touched on today as well. But I think I'm the same. I think one of the top tips I'll give for anyone is, once you book a venue and a date, lock in your DJ. Just place a deposit and then sort out the package later. That's one of the top tips I'll give. It's because you don't want to lose out on the party. A DJ will make or break your party. So I think it's important
I agree with that. I'm aligned with that. And I would say that again, like, to bride and grooms or clients out there considering the whole, production aspect of things, like, don't overthink that. Like, that can be tweaked. I think it's important to find who you want, and that should be an easier decision, hopefully, and then tweak things backwards from that. But at the same time, lots of clients want to do everything at once. It's difficult. It's not an easy task getting married. So anyone out there, good luck to you. It's an up and down journey to some respect. But if you need help, we're here. Reach out to us. give us a shout, and hopefully we can connect the dots for you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, yeah, going back to 2026, we got an epic year ahead. What else would you say? Maybe anything exclusive for 2026? What do you reckon is about to unfold in 26? Maybe
Well,
27?
20, well, in 2026 as well, we're going to be running our Mr. and Mrs. More frequently. So the good news is it's essentially the opportunity for bride and groom to come and meet multiple wedding vendors in the same room, getting the opportunity to ask specific questions, and basically having an experience. So listen to the DJ, listen to the bands. We have a cocktail masterclass. We have decorators there, photography team, makeup artists, a whole bunch of suppliers in the same room, and essentially you'll be speed dating them.
Epic.
So we've got lots of those happening for next year. So they are quite limited. So when we do put the links out, my advice is to get them before they go, because they've been very, very popular for the last few years.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that we will definitely be putting out a bit more so for next year. We're definitely pushing more so within the experiences. I feel like 2026 will be the year of experiences. So it's still at the forefront of things. We've seen the build up of where it's come in the last few years, and that feeling is increasing. So I see that as being the trends more so. And when you're booking suppliers, like interaction, immersive, these are all playful ideas to consider. So, and personal, that personalization is important. And that's my ideas
Now,
of 2026. What's yours?
no, for sure. I think one thing that I've seen trending is obviously content is key, right? I think when you're looking to book a DJ entertainment with, with us, look at the socials, look at what we're doing. Our stories are always active, just being kind of involved with kind of what we do and seeing if it aligns with your style, I think is important.
Yes.
That's one thing. And then two, you see a lot of kind of, actually, what was I going to say?
He forgot what he was going to say.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I forgot what he was going to say as well.
Sorry, the Mr. Mrs. Yes, I think the Mr. Mrs.
Yeah.
is a great concept, because my personal opinion as well, which I've got feedback from a lot of couples, is like it's the in thing now. For example, not dissing any sort of exhibitions or any wedding shows or whatever. I think they're brilliant as well. You get to see so many amazing people. But with Mr. Mrs., it's a bit more personal. You have a couple drinks, you hear our DJs, live bands, you try out some food, you get to speak to us, away from kind of everyone, bit more comfortable. You're sitting, making cocktails as well. And then also kind of, if you want to ask a question away from, kind of everyone, and just see if it kind of will help you in some way to kind of lock in.
Yeah, no, exactly. But just to add to that, like if you come to the Mr. and Mrs. experience, the idea is that you get the opportunity to meet multiple different vendors at the same time. So it's kind of like, you're getting a whole bunch of wedmin done as such. You're getting lots of information from multiple different places, different sources, a whole bunch of people that work well together, that know each other, and are able to streamline your journey to make it a lot more easier. But also, we do this week in, week out. We understand the journey each bride and groom will have. We understand the questions that they'll have. So connecting them to suppliers is one thing, but connecting them to like-minded bride and grooms is another thing. So you get the opportunity to meet other, bride and grooms in that room. And I find that to be quite valuable. And like you said, the feedback we get from that has been incredible, because yes, wedding shows have their benefits in regard to vendors meeting or suppliers meeting kind of couples and stuff, but I find it to be quite noisy. I feel like it's a lot going on. It's difficult to talk to someone, like especially when we're there and you don't really get the opportunity to speak to a bride and groom. And I want to know the details. I want to know, cool, what is your vision? What do you want to do? How do you want the music to be aligned? What's important to you production wise? Let me put together a proposal. Let me share that with you. Sometimes it's hard to do, and I feel like the Mr. and Mrs. experience allows us to just channel our energy, get the proposal right after the consultation, really get the feel, but also you can listen to the DJ that you want to book. You can listen to their style, and you can put them on the spot and ask them, listen, I like R&B and hip hop. I want you to play a 20-minute mix just before, so I can get a feel of it. Don't worry about listening to my mix CD. Don't worry about watching a video. Watch them live. You want to hear one of the musicians sing before you book the band? Listen to them. You want to have a cocktail, before you book the bar company, have a drink. It's like, essentially, it cannot be any easier. Like, it is designed to make the journey a lot more streamlined. But this is the generational change. This is where the direction is moving. This is the future of wedding shows. So the Mr. and Mrs. experience is very limited. We only allow 10 clients, 10 couples to come in. We do have a drop-in clinic, not a clinic as such, a drop-in aspect of things where couples can also come to. But generally speaking, if you want to have an experience like no other, book your ticket now, and we hopefully see you there.
And just make sure you don't drive, because, you know, after a couple of drinks, we'll have some fun. After party vibes, right?
Exactly.
Always with us. But I think, we're definitely looking forward to the years to come. It's been absolutely epic. Obviously, musical movements in the UK, to now Dubai next year, and then obviously you mentioned New York as well. So yeah, looking forward to it. Rugs, it's been a pleasure, man.
Right.
As always, man.
Indeed.
But yeah,
Peace.
come on, G.
Let's get it.